Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show. This is Ursula for an extraordinary new edition of the Ottawa Book Expo 2022. You already know it's a great event to meet and support our writers, our talents, our editors, our entrepreneurs too, and our food-related establishments as our restaurants. So it's an event that happens from the 26th to the 28th of August 2022 at Lansdowne Park at Ottawa. So we are waiting for you. Save the date and come and support our culture. And today it's my pleasure. I'm very glad to introduce you to Miss Elana Freeland, who has an incredible background. So let me start with that. Elana, you are a Waldorf school pioneer. You are a teacher, a lecturer, a storyteller, a ghostwriter, an author of nonfiction books, and you also were awarded a Master of Arts in Great Books in 1996, and you received honors for your thesis on historiography at St. John's College in Santa Fe, New Mexico. What a journey! What great accomplishments. Congratulations first, and welcome on our show, Lana.
Oh, yes, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure for us to have you. So you are the author of Subrosa America and the Geoengineering trilogy. So the first book is called Chemtrails, HARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. Also Under and Ionized Sky, which is your second book, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. And the last one, Geoengineering, Transhumanism, How the Environment Has Been Weaponized by Chemicals, Electromagnetism, and Nanotechnology for Synthetic Biology. Well, it says a lot. So your book deals obviously with themes such as how polluted is the air, the food, this almost everything, right? That we use, and how it is orchestrated by big industries. So before we go more in details with your books, I would like you to explain what is the Waldorf School, because that explains a bit your process, your thinking process, and I think it's important.
Oh, my involvement in Waldorf? Oh,
Yes.
yes. Well, that's the Rudolf Steiner education. And I've been a student of Rudolf Steiner's ideas. He was an Austrian, he's known as an Austrian mystic, but he was actually an Austrian physicist who had many spiritual experiences and wanted to connect the spiritual with the material level that we all generally live in. And so Waldorf education, Rudolf Steiner education, is where the arts are used very extensively to teach the academics. And it is I still feel it is a perfect place for a young child who there's no computers in the classrooms. They make their own textbooks. They have a very rich curriculum of handwork and crafts and storytelling and painting and movement. And I mean, it is such a rich education for a new human being on the planet. And I highly recommend it. I left because I returned to writing. I used to be a writer years ago, a journalist, and I decided to return to that.
And that's very interesting because now you used everything that you learned at this school, and I mean your life experience, obviously, just for people to know that Waldorf School encourages the free thinking, right? The inner education, and that explains what you're doing right now. Let's talk about your books now. Can you tell us more how all this started, all your researches started?
It started with the Subrosa America, a deep state history. That is a series of 4 books, 1,300 pages. And I was trying to write a history of America since John F. Kennedy's assassination in Dallas, Texas. And I wanted to say a lot of things about America and what has happened to it and why. So I chose a fictional format, which, Solzhenitsyn, the great Russian writer, he too chose to tell the story of his communist stay in the Gulag in Russia in a fictional format, so that he would have the room to comment. And that's what I did. So I consider these books to be a history of the United States since the end of World War II, to show how we have lost our freedoms, how we have been overtaken by a certain way of thinking that most people have no idea of the history of. I mean, I don't know how it is in Canada, but Americans don't care about history. They think, oh, well, that's past, that doesn't matter. But as you know, if you don't know your history, you may be doomed to repeat it. So, so it was from that writing of those books that I had a file on chemical trails up in the sky with the jets. And I had a file on HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which is really a huge ionospheric heater installation up in Alaska, which is a state of the United States. So I had these two files. And then I was asked by a publisher if I thought I could write a book on chemtrails and what now we call geoengineering. And I said yes. And so I began, and each book, I've written 3 on geoengineering, each book gave birth to the next book. So now I have just published probably, the most unusual book, because I am tying in geoengineered transhumanism, I tie several very big subjects together, which is why the book is physically big and has 60 illustrations. I tie geoengineering to what is going on with the vaccinating programs going on now. I tie it with synthetic biology, because synthetic biology is an artificial biology that has to do with making a new human species that we now call transhumanist. And that species will be connected to artificial intelligence programs, computers, internet, etc. And so I'm very concerned about this. I'm very concerned that a real human being, a real human species remain on the planet, and that it not be taken out and a ersatz human being be put in its place that would be, we call, a transhuman.
Very interesting and very, very deep. You explain a bit what is a transhumanism. So for those our auditors who are hearing about that term for the very first time, transhumanism is a mix, as you said, like using science and technology to create. It's a concept to create. Let's say that's what it says, a better and maybe a greater human, but a mix of like robots and yes. So I don't know if you have better terms to explain to our auditors what is it.
Well, you're right. It has to do with selling it to the public as an enhancement of human capabilities. You can run faster, you can think better, you can do this, you can do that. But really, that will only be for the very elite. And for the rest of us, who are the workers, the worker bees of the planet, in our case, it will be slavery. Slavery to artificial intelligence, huge quantum and supercomputers run by and controlled by the very elite, the very wealthy. So transhumanism is not a good term. Trans means across, human you're going across the human, but really what it is a replacement of our nerves, of our circulatory system, of our brains and how they run with synthetic biology, crossover engineered, bioengineered parts that have already begun with the geoengineering, because the jets and the rockets that have been flying now for almost 3 decades in the program that I analyze in my 3 books, they are not just having things come out the back of the jet that have to do with the fuel, not a contrail. It has to do with actually delivering certain substances on a nano scale. And a nano is 1/1000th of a meter, very tiny, you cannot see it, delivering many nanoscale chemicals, electromagnetism, many things that will change us. Because we have to breathe this in our atmosphere, and it goes into our lungs, then it goes into our blood, then it goes in beyond the blood-brain barrier. And so we are sort of captured from within by what has been delivered to us to be host to. We are the guinea pigs. They are following very carefully what these things coming from the sky are doing to our bodies. And those things cannot be eliminated by our natural elimination processes. And so they remain in us, and then they are smart technology, smart biology, smart everything. So that what that smart word means is that somewhere there is a central headquarters where people on computers with laptops and with monitors are following the nano sensors that are in our body, that are reading our biometrics and seeing all the changes happening in us because of what we're breathing from the geoengineered skies. And this is all not published. This is not put in mainstream media because this is a highly, highly classified program. And I have learned with each book, when you write a book, you learn a lot. I highly recommend it to people who love to study and love to analyze what things really mean between the lines of all the lies and the disinformation, such as NASA. NASA puts out endless lies. So you begin to realize what is really going on, and to let the public know that, so that they can see that these health issues, particularly the issues they're having with autoimmune symptoms, many autoimmune conditions. Autism is going off the roof. Alzheimer's is getting younger and younger. These things are connected to what we have been breathing in for decades, and now they have added the elite in the form of the big pharma cartel, has now added the inoculation, which will put new things into us, direct things that will make us the final step to a transhuman race, coming out of the people who have unfortunately chosen to receive the inoculations and boosters. Yeah, that's how it works.
It is so powerful and deep, and all those information you took time to research them, and it's all in your book. It's also on your website, elanafreeland.com. You share a lot of information, and also words from other doctors, interviews and videos from other doctors talking about that, and especially what happened in the past 2 years. Did you receive any resistance? Did you confront any resistance from that and from people? Because this is, you have to get ready to receive this information, and not everyone hear it, to understand it. So how was it when you first published all these informations?
Well, we are an anti-geoengineering movement on the internet. There are several of us who have worked Separately, but usually helping each other, sometimes not helping each other, in order to get out to the public that this program is about much more than the cover story called Climate Change and Global Warming. Those are cover stories for a very highly militarized, highly intelligence agency run program that serves the elite elite. And have I had trouble? Oh, yes. And I think some of us have been killed, and some of us have been perhaps threatened and blackmailed in many ways. So because you don't read about this, you only read about the mafia and human trafficking by some shadowy character somewhere. No one realizes the degree to which, even in the West, which admires freedoms, even in the West, many of us are not allowed to talk about the truth that the government is involved in, and the intelligence agencies, and the military, and corporations, big defense corporations. All of them are involved in this transhuman move to control absolutely humanity on the planet. So yes, I have been targeted several times, sometimes seriously, sometimes not that seriously. But I think the important thing is that you don't have to be a Martin Luther King or a Robert Kennedy in order to be watched anymore. You simply have to love truth and be communicating on the internet to let people know what is really going on.
Wow, that's incredible, and you still have the courage to speak, and that's great because you're doing a lot of work. And yes, you might have a confront resistance, but you are supported to a lot of people describe you as a great researcher, as a great writer. You have very positive feedback. You do people invite you in international conferences. And
Yes.
you were at the 5th annual MyStech conference to talk about artificial intelligence, consciousness, and virtual reality, all those things. How does it feel to be supported and to have positive feedbacks when you deal with such controversial themes?
Well, I mean, I'm called a conspiracy theorist, which is a term the CIA came up with when John Kennedy was assassinated, as a way to marginalize people who were kind of digging into things and going, wait a minute, this assassination sounds like it was not just one man. So I put up with that. I don't mind because I understand our intelligence agency here in the United States. Yes, I think people in general love truth in their hearts, but they don't have a lot of confidence in their minds, in their head, to be able to tell the difference between what is true and what is not true. So sometimes they get involved with certain personalities who seem to have a lot of truth. And they hold on to those personalities and just kind of follow that personality. Whereas what I would like people to do is to resurrect their thinking ability. It's been really destroyed in America. I don't know how it is in Canada, but here it has been, the education system has really made it so that very few people come out of school, including university, able to really think their own thoughts about things. And so being a student of Rudolf Steiner, I'm very big on that, on showing people how you do thinking. I have no PhD in physics. I simply studied, and I worked hard to unlock the secrets that are all over the internet of this highly classified program, heading all of us, herding all of us toward transhumanism. And that kind of effort, when you can really bear down on something with full discipline and your heart, because you're involved in the truth for humanity, you can come up with an awful lot of wonderful material.
Mm-hmm.
And that I've been writing for many years, then I'm able to communicate that. And I'm also a pretty good communicator when I'm speaking as a speaker. So, why do I keep doing this, even though there's danger? I think it's a mission. I think I'm on a mission, and it has something to do with the spiritual world. I definitely feel that. It isn't that I'm a slave to the spiritual world. I very much want to serve humanity because
Mm-hmm.
I believe we are involved in a great human evolution of our own consciousness, our own human consciousness. And I don't want any enhancement from the machine people, from them and their chemicals and their nanotechnology and all of that. I want to be able to, that we have our own will, our
Mm-hmm.
own thoughts, and that we can develop ourselves. But if we continue to just follow the herd and do whatever and the networks say on the television, or the New York Times, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then we're not really pursuing our own development. And to me, that's what Rudolf Steiner has given me, is a love for that work on oneself, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to think, to be able to understand even science, even physics. Yes, to understand it to a degree, to the degree that you can translate what is going on around you in the environment, because the environment has been totally taken over by wireless technology now, and it's all connected to the geoengineering, and it's all connected to the bioengineering going on inside of us.
Very interesting, and I love the fact that you connected it with the Waldorf uh, process of thinking, because as a great writer was saying, Mark Twain, school and education are two different things. And yeah, and he was saying that he will never let school interfere with his education, and he's one of the greatest writers that we have, right? And
Yes.
this, yeah, and this is Waldorf way of thinking too. So help people to have, or to bring, or re-educate themselves, and have they, they have everything, the knowingness inside of them, and just learn how um to reveal it, right? So this is the point, and it was very interesting. What do you answer to people who call you, as you said, conspiracy theories, or or call your books as conspiracy theories books? What do you answer to that?
Well, I think that's one of the good things that has come out of this last 2 or 3 years, is now we
Mm,
are all looking out at a world in chaos.
mm,
And you read one thing in the mainstream media, or you hear it on the television, and then you find out that someone else is in doubt of the truth of that, who
mm,
also has a PhD or is a doctor, and so what we see now is all the things that I've been studying all these years, and I've been studying for 45 years. I'm a
oh,
former 60s generation person who realized that the establishment was lying to us at that time about Vietnam and John Kennedy's assassination, Martin Luther King's assassination, Robert Kennedy's assassination. We knew that. And
mhm,
so I have been studying under the rug, I call it, Subrosa. Subrosa means under the rose. But
yeah.
what you're doing is you're looking into the basement of your culture and going, what was really true along all this time? And so I cut my teeth on that, and therefore I was ready to do this. And when to do the work on geoengineering, which has to
Mhm,
do with physics and astrophysics, plasma physics, really heady stuff. But I call me a conspiracy theorist, and I say Yes, I am very proud to be, if that's what you want to call me, because there are multiple conspiracies of power going on. I mean, what's wrong with that term? I'm looking under the rug. I'm looking in the basement, and you are fortunate to have people like me. Now I look out, and just about everything I've studied is here in the open. But if you don't have the eyes to see it and the ears to hear it, you'll miss it. And this is an extremely exciting time. Wow. As the decline of a certain type of civilization is now obvious. And we haven't yet seen the rise of something alternative. But first, we have to go through the decline now. And so, I recommend this book to scientists as well, because they are never going to find this material in any of the university PhD program science classes or libraries. This is cutting edge technology that is kept secret, because it's like the atomic bomb secret of the Manhattan Project years ago. This is on the same level. This is hidden, and it's lied about consistently in the mainstream media. And I have been able to, because of my research skills and my intelligence, I've been able to put together a lot of disparate little factoids that are all over the internet, patents, papers, conferences, you name it. I have the ability to contextualize a very big picture into something that appears to have a real intention behind it, to create a transhuman species. Absolutely.
Incredible. And you were talking about scientists, but we also have scientists called conspiracy theorists nowadays. So, I mean, it is what it is, but that's incredible. Where we can find your books for everyone that was just blown by all those informations today, where they can find your books?
Well, for the black and white edition of the most recent book, which I highly recommend, even though the other two cover very important parts of geoengineering, if you really see the role of geoengineering, you may want to then go to those books as well. Those books are available on Amazon. The black and white edition of the new book, Geoengineered Transhumanism, is also at Amazon or through your bookseller. However, a color edition, I was unable to produce to get a color edition for a print-on-demand book, because the price would have been absolutely prohibitive for people. So I have gone through a printing company to print a color edition. And the color edition can be gotten by going on the internet and going to the Rudolf Steiner bookstore in Seattle, Washington. They have agreed to be the one bookseller of the printed color edition, which is only $15 more than what you would be paying on Amazon. But please get the color edition if you can, because some of those pictures are well worth it.
Oh, wow. So we will leave the links to everybody so that they can order their books and learn about everything that we just talked about today. That was incredible. Elana, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your knowledge, for everything that you do. That was awesome. And to all our auditors, we will leave the information for you so that you can order your books. And also you can visit Elana's website, so elanafreeland.com. We'll leave all the information. Thank you again for this beautiful edition of the Ottawa Book Expo 2022, and we see you there. Thank you, Elana.
Thank you, Ursula.